Thank you all for coming out to join us for the 10th annual MSC Helps Luncheon. It is good to be here, and it is good to see the room so full of so many people who want to help support their community. My name is Ted Colby. I am the MSC MC, amongst other things, and I'm getting feedback, so I'm going to turn that a little further away. My word. All right. I want to start out, you guys, first just recognizing that while many of us are here in person in Federal Way, we also have people joining from throughout the South Sound online. And we would like to acknowledge that collectively, we're gathered on the ancestral territory of the Muckleshoot, Puyallup, Duwamish, and Coastal Salish tribes. We have to take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders, both past and present, as well as living descendants and future generations. Thank you. We encourage you to learn more about what you can do to make reparations for Indigenous people of our area and beyond. Now, you guys, this is the 10th luncheon. And this morning, as I was getting ready, putting on my Seahawks socks, I was extra excited, a little more excited than I've ever been before. And a few of you probably already know why. But if you don't, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Because we have an amazing list of sponsors who made this event happen today. So I'd like to start out by saying thank you to our generous presenting sponsor, Shelter Resources, Inc. They've been longtime partners with Multi-Service Center, building affordable housing throughout South King and North Pierce counties. I'll ask you guys to hold applause to the end, because we're going to go through a big list here, but we do want to recognize everybody who helped make this possible. Our signature sponsors, the City of Federal Way, Federal Way Public Schools, Lynn and Bruce Gibson Foundation, our lead sponsors, including AmeriGroup, Coldwell Banker Danforth, Loveridge Hunt and Company, Puget Sound Energy, Robert D. Bone Key LLC, South King Media, Sprague Israel Giles, Valley Harvest International Market. Next up, our associate sponsors, Allied Residential, Banner Bank, BECU, the Federal Way Mirror, Greeny Scudder Law Firm, King County Council Member Pete Von Reichbauer, our Rotary Club of Federal Way, Umpqua Bank, United Healthcare Community Plan, Virginia Mason Franciscan Health, Wild Waves Theme Park, and WSECU. Now let's give it up for this amazing community supporting us. Next up, of course, we'd like to thank all of you who are here joining us today, and a special thanks to our table captains, the folks that have called you and told you that you needed to be here today. So table captains, if you can stand up or raise a hand, we want to give you a round of applause. Thank you for filling the room up today. And along with those table captains, we also want to thank all the other folks who have contributed as pace setters. Now, pace setters are the donors who they made a donation before they tasted the lunch, before they heard the keynote speaker. They said, we're committed no matter what. And the reason they did that is because later on when we ask the rest of you to donate, we want you to feel inspired by what they did, okay? So be ready for that, it's coming. Also, a few elected officials or their representatives that are here today. If you can stand or wave as I call your name. Again, we'll hold our applause to the end and give them a big thank you together. First up, King County Councilmember Dave Up the Grove, King County Councilmember Pete Von Reichbauer, Mayor of Federal Way Jim Farrell, Federal Way Deputy Mayor Susan Honda, and Federal Way Council President Linda Kochmar. Let's give a round of applause for the people who are supporting us. See, this is the part where I say, and did I miss anyone? Hey, Councilmember Jack Walsh. Give your own round of applause now. Thanks for being here. School Director Quentin Morris. Got to do one more. They always come in threes. All right. Thank you again to all of you for being here and joining us as part of today's event. Our multi-service center board members are here. Could you also stand up and give a wave? We appreciate the service that you guys are doing to help navigate. Now, if you're here today, you probably know how fortunate we are to have an organization like the Multi-Service Center here helping so many people in need. And you probably also know how fortunate we are to have been led by Robin Korak over the last decade. She has been an amazing, thoughtful, and compassionate leader, and her focus has always been the well-being of our community. It is my pleasure to invite her one last time to the stage at the MSC Luncheon. Let's give it up for Robin Korak.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I want to say a personal thank you because so many of you, not all of you, have been supportive of MSC in one way or another for so many years, all the time that I have been here. And I hope that investment will continue for years to come as we try to build a future without poverty. Your partnership in MSC's mission to build a future without poverty is vital. We couldn't do it without you. And I hope you'll be inspired today by how MSC is turning your investment into help, hope, and change for our neighbors. Now, as you probably know, MSC is a community action agency that is building a future without poverty for our neighbors throughout South King County and beyond. The way that we do that is by providing resources and support in a variety of different ways to help remove barriers so people can reach their own goals. Our programs include eviction prevention, temporary housing, permanent affordable housing, energy assistance, employment, and food. And we operate the Washington State Long-Term Care Ombuds program. So you can see we truly are a multi-service center. And we know that many people face barriers to receiving assistance. And we are working towards reducing and eliminating those barriers through our resource navigation programs, which help people find the resources that they need. This summer, we've expanded our navigation programs to add specific community education and outreach to refugees and immigrants. Now, last year, we served 42,785 people, representing 18,043 households. And we could not have done that without you. So I think you owe yourselves. Unfortunately, we still see more and more people affected every day by economic challenges. And we are thankful for your support, particularly when we have had people who have been affected by the pandemic and still have some of those issues coming up. Having your support means the world to us because it means that we can be agile in serving those emerging needs. It's been a source of inspiration for our work and a much needed constant in these ever-changing times. And speaking of change, I am excited to have the opportunity to introduce you to MSC's new CEO, Kirsten York. Right here, you'll meet with her in just a minute. But I want to tell you, I've had the pleasure of working with Kirsten a bit in the past and closely together throughout this past month, and she truly embodies the vision, the mission, and the values of MSC. Kirsten comes to MSC with 15 years of experience in community action work, most recently as a CEO of a neighboring organization. She brings not only tremendous experience to this position, but compassion and commitment to equity and inclusion, which will ensure that all members of our community will have the opportunities they need to create change in their lives. Now, while this is a bittersweet moment for me as I leave this leadership post, and this organization has been a home to me for over 20 years, I am confident and excited for the future of MSC because I know Kirsten's going to do amazing things. And I look forward to witnessing the impact we can make for our community under Kirsten's leadership. So please join me in welcoming Kirsten to the stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Robin. I am honored to be following in your footsteps as the next CEO of MSC. I want to thank you for all you have done for the community, and in my just short 2 weeks and 4 days in this role, it is clear that you have made a lasting impact on our staff, our clients, and our community. So thank you for the work you have done over the last decade and beyond. So join me in a round of applause for Robin. I also want to thank all of you for being in this room today as we celebrate both the impact of MSC's programs and the successes, but also look forward to the future as we continue these vital services in our communities. I will lead MSC with integrity, passion, joy, innovation, honesty, patience, hopefully, and strength. We will continue to ensure that we reach out to those in our community who are in need of our services the most. The lens of equity will be at the forefront of our work, both internally and externally. And with your partnership, the future of MSC is full of hope and joy and prosperity. So thank you for welcoming me to this community, and I look forward to getting to know all of you and all of your names as we move forward, and on a personal level as we build a future without poverty for our neighbors. Ted, I'll hand it back to you now, as I'm sure people are excited to hear from our keynote speaker, Doug Baldwin.
As Kirsten said, it's a good time to introduce our keynote speaker. Some of you might have heard of him, Doug Baldwin. Now, most of us know him as a local football hero, right? Years helping the home team, and promised myself I wouldn't cry. In 2014, leading the home team to the Super Bowl championship victory. But what makes him really amazing, and the reason we have him here today, is that his amazing work didn't stop when he retired from professional football. More importantly, he's an incredible advocate for community spaces and the underserved. Today he's going to share a little bit of his story of why community is so important and why he chooses to support organizations like the Multi-Service Center. He's a philanthropic activist acting locally in a place where he didn't grow up, but he now calls home. He has a passion for creating empathic solutions for complex problems, which is shown through the recent foundation of the community center, the Family First Community Center, just down the road in Renton that he just opened up. He's also the recipient of the Martin Luther King Jr. Medal of Distinguished Service Award and a Paul G. Allen Humanitarian Award. Now around here, we're supposed to be known for making some noise, so can we give it up for Mr. Doug Baldwin?
What's up? Good afternoon. Okay, listen, we're gonna have some fun today, okay? And the reason being is because my friend Erin back there, she was very nervous. She was very nervous. So first off, she was worried about me arriving on time. And now she's worried because they gave me 30 minutes to talk. Now, if anybody has spoken publicly before, you know 30 minutes is a long time. And the worst part about this is that I don't write speeches. You okay, Aaron? But the truth is, I do have a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about. Well, first off, let me say I'm grateful to share this time and this space with you today. I recognize that you could be in other places, you could be doing other things, but you're here supporting MSC and the work that they do in the community. So thank you for that. I think I'll get into it in a minute. So if you heard me speak before, you probably heard the same conversation about love, about my values, about how I view the world. And what I'm coming to realize now as a father and as a maturing adult is that I am reaching new planes of understanding and appreciation every few years. I've recognized the patterns that I get to this new plane. I look up and I'm like, damn, look at all this stuff I'm learning. And I sit there for a while. And then I get complacent. And then something kicks me in the ass, and then it kicks me to the next plane. But now I'm realizing, like, that's life. I'm sure all of you have experienced that as well, right? You get to the next plane, you learn something about yourself, your family, your community, just your beliefs. And then they're the challenge to strengthen for you to go to the next thought, the next level, the next plane, if you will. So that's where I'm at right now. Life just kicked my ass. And now I'm at a different plane. And I'm seeing the world from a different perspective. And this language that I'm sharing with you today, this is brand new language for me. Brand new. Literally, I just came out of a counseling session yesterday with my wife. Brand new language. By the way, counseling, therapy. Don't, trust me on this one, okay? So, when I got married 6 years ago, or when I was engaged to my wife, I've asked several friends, family members, how does marriage work? How do you make it work, right? And they told me lots of different things. And one of the things that I heard was that, every few years you're gonna experience trials and tribulations in your marriage that you have to get through. And somebody told me that around 7 years is one of those points. I see several men nodding their heads. My wife and I have been married for 6 years now. We have 3 daughters. So I think the 7-year rate's kind of been accelerated just a little bit by those 3 daughters. And so this past year, my wife and I went through a really, really, really challenging time. And if I'm being honest, most of it was me, right? I'm 35 now. I was 34 at the time. Young man, still trying to figure out life, still trying to figure out my identity, still trying to figure out who the hell I am in this world, right? And how do I show up and be the most authentic version of myself that is also true to myself? And I didn't have the answers. Still don't have all the answers. And I struggled, right? Especially leaving the sport of football, right? I had been playing football since I was 6 years old. That was my identity. Everything I did, everything I believed in, everything I worked towards was wrapped around football. And so not having that in my life, it has been a struggle to reinvent myself and to figure out what my true identity and true mission is in this world. My wife is phenomenal. She gives me incredible grace. But we struggle mightily. And then a few months ago, my middle child, her name's Nia. We affectionately call her Nini in our house. She had a seizure at school. And this was her second one. First one was in July of last year. And this one was a few months ago. The first one, I got to the school right after it happened, and she was awake. She was okay. She was a little tired, but she was okay. This one that happened a few months ago, when I got back to the school from the community center, she was still unconscious. And when I got there, my wife was crying. The paramedics were lifting my daughter up off the floor onto the stretcher, lifting her lifeless body onto the stretcher. I'm a football player, right? I come from a world where I'm a control freak. I perform on the field, like there's a game, right, that has rules. I can route you up in the framework of that game and have control over that, right? This was a very specific and potent time in my life where I had zero control. We were rushed to Children's Hospital, and my daughter was sitting on this big hospital bed, and there's 20 folks around her, and her lifeless body was sitting on that bed, and there was nothing I could do. And I remember, after everything was okay, we got home the next day, and I remember my forearm was really sore. And I was like, man. And so I reflected on that time, and I remember when she was in the hospital laying on that bed, I was holding, the doctors came in and gave us some paperwork. I had crumpled the paperwork up in my hand, and I was staring at my daughter, and I was squeezing the paper as if I was holding on to her life. And I couldn't let it go. And so that moment taught me something about myself. I am this man that wants to show up in the world and control my environment, right? I know right from wrong. I don't always do it, but I know it. And I want to affect the change in the world that I want to see, because I want my daughters to live in a world that is better than the one that I grew up in. And as a competitor, right, there's an ambition about me, competitive ambition about me that wants to control that. And in this moment, I was helpless. Now, granted, my daughter was able to get through that. She's fine now. She's wreaking havoc on our house to this day. But that moment was a profound moment in my life. And it made me reflect on the issues that my wife and I were having. And I realized that I was focused on things that didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Right? Just that new perspective of how precious life is, of how precious these moments are. Right? In the grand scheme of things, what we were arguing about, what I was arguing about really didn't matter. And so I am before you today as a new man because of that event. Different perspective on life. And when I reflect on that, and I go deeper in that, because if you know me, I like to go deep on things that, not just a pass route, but also life in general. I'm glad some of you got it. But when I reflect on that, and then I zoom out and I look at our world as a whole, I'm like, damn, what is going on? Right? Like, you all see it, everything is happening not only in our country and our communities, but also in the world as a whole, right? What the hell is going on? And this thought came to me yesterday after my counseling session was, I feel like the biggest problem with our society is that we're so worried about what we don't have that we forget to be grateful for what we do have. And when I say that, I don't mean being complacent, right? Let me be very clear about that. I'm not saying that you be grateful for what you have and that you don't aspire for more or for better. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a posture of humility, of gratefulness, of appreciation and respect for all of the things. So let me back up. How many of you in here, show by raising hands, how many of you in here plan to be on this planet living and breathing? You plan to be here. So you were in your mother's womb, and you said, hold on, and you said, I want curly hair. I want blue eyes. I want to be 6'3". That's what you said? Anybody in here? Anybody? So let me ask you again. How many of you in here plan to be living and breathing on this planet when you were in your mother's womb? Now listen, I'm not saying that I know the answer for sure that we did not plan to be here. If you have come to that conclusion that you have made that decision, I would love to talk to you. I'm trying to get to that level. But for me right now, I don't know if any of us have planned to be here, right? Maybe our spirits, like listen, there's another conversation, but maybe some way, shape, or form we plan to be here. But from my understanding, what I know for me now is that I did not plan to be here, right? And honestly, my mom told me as much. It was an accident. And at the time, honestly, like, it made me mad when my mom told me. Like, she didn't say you were an accident. She was like, well, things happen and we didn't plan for you, but I'm so grateful for the blessing that you are now. I was so mad at her, and like, I was thinking about this yesterday as I'm thinking about, how I'm gonna show up today for you all. Listen, it's okay. I want to let you. Somewhere around there. Good point. So since that event with my daughter, my phone is always on now. Okay. So if you hear it's a certain ringtone, that means it's my wife. She knows that if she calls me or text messages me, like whatever I'm doing, I have to stop and make sure that everything's good. Okay. So. You're all right. You're all right. Oh, but where was I?
Not an accident.
Keep going. None of us plan to be here, right? And so if that's the case, if that is the perspective that I have on my life, if I did not plan to be here, oh wait, sorry. There's a joke I actually wanted to tell here. My mom said I was an accident, right? And I was mad at her at the time, but now as a father of 3 children, I understand how that could happen. So I say that, so if any of you all had children that were surprised, it is a blessing, right? None of my children were surprises, by the way, they were all planned. 3 of them. But if we have that perspective that none of us planned to be here, that none of us asked to be here, living and breathing in the environment. We didn't choose where we were born. We didn't choose where we grew up. We didn't choose where we work. We didn't choose our skin color. We didn't choose our cultural background. We didn't choose any of these things. And if we have that perspective, then maybe we could look at each other as just other human beings on this planet trying to survive and thrive. Right? None of us planned to be here. And if that's the case, then life truly is a gift. Right? You didn't ask to be here, but now you're here. You're experiencing life, you're breathing oxygen, you have relationships, you're experiencing love. Yes, suffering is involved. Suffering is inevitable in life. But guess what? We wouldn't know what light was if it was never dark. You would never know what true joy is if you've never experienced true pain. And I know some of you may not agree with me on that. That's okay. I'm 35 years old, I'm still figuring it out, give me some grace. Okay? That's where I'm at right now. I would not have this new profound respect and appreciation for life and cherishing the moments that I experience on a day-to-day basis if it wasn't for me to go through that experience, seeing my daughter lifeless and feeling helpless, right? Okay, so now you're gonna ask me, how does this all connect to MSC? This is how. If we are all collectively on this planet trying to survive and thrive, then what are we fighting about? What are we arguing about? Why can't we get along? Do you need food? Do you need housing? Do you need a job? Do you need an encouraging word? Do you need somebody who's just there to listen to whatever you have to say about the life and experience you're going through? Why can't we be that for each other? Why can't we be that for each other? MSC does that. Their services do that. Their mission does that. The work that we collectively do in this room, we do that. I come from a sports background. A little shameless self-promotion. You've heard me talk before, you've probably heard me say this before. My Little League career, from 6 to high school, 6 years old to high school, I don't know what age now, I'm old, it's on my mind. Won every city championship except for 2. I think I said 1 before, it's actually 2. We won every city championship except for 2. I know. Got to high school. The year I was able to play, one of our high school's best years historically. Got to college. Fortunate enough, blessed enough to go to Stanford. Struggled mightily there. Culture shock, as you can imagine, coming from the South in Florida, going to California. Culture shock for me. Away from my family, very close to my family. Being away from them, very, very hard. The year I got to play, my senior year, we went to the Orange Bowl and beat up on Virginia Tech. You like, okay, good. So you don't like Virginia Tech. Okay, all right. Pack nothing now. Pack 2? Then I have an opportunity to go play in the NFL, right? We won a Super Bowl. Should have won another one. Curious to why you guys are clapping. To
hide the tears.
To hide the tears, okay, fair enough. I've been around winning culture. I've been around championship winning culture. I I know what it takes. I know what it looks like. I know what it smells like. I know what it feels like. I know what it tastes like. And truly and genuinely, the core essence of what takes a team from being good to great to championship caliber is this much. It's this much. You know what that is? It's caring about the person next to you. Genuinely, authentically, and honestly, and without pride, without prejudice, caring about the person next to you. That is what championship winning culture is. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't fight. That doesn't mean that you don't argue. Anybody who's been in a healthy family, and even in unhealthy families, you know that there's conflict. One of my counselors, I got 4 counselors, by the way. That's how important this is to me, right? I have my original marriage counselor. I have a personal counselor who is also a priest. I have another personal counselor, and then we just added another marriage counselor, right? Yeah, I know. That's a lot of money going out. But my mission, my overall mission, is to have the most healthiest family that I can possibly have. Because everything else from there, I think everything else from there will flow from there, right? That's why it's important to me. But my first counselor, her name's Heather, bless her heart. She told us 6.5 years ago, she said, conflict is the price of something deeper, right? So you're going to be in conflict. You're going to experience suffering, but it's the price of something deeper. If you want true and genuine, authentic love, you can go through hell at times. Because love is not, and we all know this, love is not a feeling, right? Love is an action. I'll tell you one better. Love is a decision. Love is a decision. There will be some times, if you're married in here, you know this. There will be some times that you don't like. Just, you know, right? My 2 colleagues down here laughing. But when you show up to a marriage, when you show up to a relationship, when you show up to a gathering of folks who are dedicated to a mission, it is a decision that you make. It is a choice that you make every day. You know what? Some days I don't like you. Some days I don't agree with you. But we're in this together, and I love you, and I know where we're going, and that's where I'm going. And so I love you because you are also on that mission with me. And that mission, that mindset, that culture, that understanding of what championship level culture really is, we need that as a society. We're missing that as a society. The problem that we have in our society right now is because we're forgetting that we're a tribe. We are a tribe. We are all human beings on this planet trying to survive and thrive. And again, it's a gift. We forget how much of a gift this is. Think about all the astrologers and how many planets they have studied, and how many planets don't have life on it, and how many planets actually don't have the essence, the elements to even bring life. And we're sitting here in this venue, having a conversation about supporting other human beings on this planet. Just zoom out for a second. Right? Like, it is what it is. And so here's my ask to you. So through all the counseling, all the therapy, all the reflection, and at 35 years old, again, give me some grace, I'll get there at one point. I've come to believe in 3 core values, okay? I've talked, if you've heard me speak, you've probably heard me talk about these core values. They began when we started our business, right? Like I'm like, I want to put my soul into our company, into all the efforts that we do. So here are the values, but these values then now have become values for my life. So number 1 is be honest. I know, it sounds so cliche, right? Be honest. But when I say be honest, I don't necessarily mean just being honest with each other. I mean being honest with yourself. When you look in the mirror every day, who are you? Who do you claim to be? And are you showing up in the spaces as that person? And if you're not, great. That means you still have work to do just like the rest of us. Number 2 is be curious. Curiosity is just a posture of humility. None of us have all the answers. There's so much wisdom and knowledge out there that we haven't even tapped into because we're so focused on the things that we don't have, rather than be grateful for the things that we do have. And if we are grateful for the things of life, like breathing oxygen, they open up our capacity for value number 3, which is to be forgiving. Life is hard. Life is challenging. There are folks that this organization is trying to support that go through experiences in life that decisions were made for them that they did not make. Think about that for a second. There are folks within our society that are impacted by decisions that were made several years ago that they did not make, that now today they have to suffer the consequences of. I know that even more so as a parent right now. The decisions I'm making every day are going to impact my children when they're older. And the decisions that they make for their children are going to be based on the decisions that they see me make every day. And in the process of that, we're going to make mistakes. In the process of having relationships, we are going to make mistakes. But if we zoom out and we see each other for the folks that we are on this planet just trying to survive and thrive, maybe, just maybe, we could have a little bit more grace, a little bit more empathy, a little bit more understanding for our humanity. And so I charge you with those 3 things when you leave here today. Be more honest. Be more honest. When you look yourself in the mirror, are you really a good person? Are you trying to be a good person? Are there parts in your life that could be better, that you could do better? Could you show more love? Could you show more empathy? Could you show more grace? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is like, I think I can do better, then I want you to be curious about that. I want you to explore it. I want you to reflect on it. Really, truly, genuinely reflect on it. And then in the process, I also want you to give yourself grace. You're human just like the rest of us, trying to survive and thrive on this planet, trying to figure it out, trying to make the best decisions you can with the information that you have in that moment. And you're gonna make mistakes. So give yourself grace. So the reason we are here today is because we need to raise money for this organization and the work that they do. If I'm correct, Aaron told me that last year this event raised around $104,000. That's amazing. And that money has gone to impact a bunch of lives. Before I ask you to donate, I also want to make sure that you are very clear about where I stand on impact. Now, the mission here is to end poverty, correct, Aaron? Right? I'm not going to be the person to tell you that ending poverty is possible. I'm not going to say that to you. But if you want to truly, genuinely make an impact, sometimes the mission has got to be impossible. Right? There's a quote that I'm wrestling with right now. Can't remember the author's name, but the quote goes something like, as an individual, I may not be able to change the world, but I may be able to change the world for one individual. Yeah, I like that. I like that. You know, I look at all the things that are going on in our world. You know, I've got friends who have family in Israel right now. My agent, my football agent, one of my closest friends. Perfect time. He's got family in Israel right now. And, you know, it breaks my heart. Like, I don't really have the words. I don't really know what to do. So I look at our world and I'm like, damn, like, there's so much to be done, so much change that needs to happen, so much perspective that needs to be changed. And so, I don't know, but guess what? We're here right now. We're breathing oxygen, we're living this life, we're in this room, we're living a life that's truly a gift. And if you have the opportunity to impact one person's life, that's a good enough mission to me. It's a good enough mission to me. And so with that being said, last year we raised $104,000 for this organization. This year there's 300 people who have packed this room. I'm asking you, all of you, each one of you, if you have the ability to do so, I'm asking you, $500. $500. $500. Listen, I know, we all have different things going on in our lives. We all do. There's many, many challenges that we all face. And $500 may be a lot to you. But I'm asking you. I'm asking you. And here's the other thing. If you have more than $500, if you're able to spend more than $500, this is where the tribe part comes in. This is where the team part comes in. This is where the championship winning culture comes in. Listen, if I'm running a route, okay, my job is to make sure that I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do so that my teammate can do his job. If I'm running my route and it's supposed to be at 5 yards and I run it at 6, that throws the entire timing off. Now my quarterback is messed up, now the offensive line is messed up, and the other guy who I'm supposed to be getting open, now he's messed up. But if I do my job, if I'm at 5 yards, and the quarterback gets to the right depth, and the offensive line gets the right read, and my other receiver gets to the right depth and runs the right route, we're gonna probably have a successful play. And so listen, everybody has a role to play. So the first role I'm asking you, $500. The next role I'm asking for folks who can go beyond that is help somebody else carry that role. If you can donate 1,000, guess what? That means somebody else who may not have 500, they're covered. And so on. You get the point. But here's the reason. All of us are part of a team. All of us have a role to play. All of us have a role to play. All of us have a role to play. If you want to win a championship, all of you have a role to play. And you can't take that for granted. You can't take that lightly. You got to take that serious. Life is a gift. We only get so many hours on this planet. I'm thinking about I get to go see my grandmother for Thanksgiving. Sorry, if you feel like I'm, just going on right now, they told me I had 30 minutes to talk, so I got to fill this 30 minutes. Right? I get to go see my grandmother for Thanksgiving. This is the first time my entire family, all of my daughters, all of us will be going to Florida to see my grandmother. A friend of mine, a coach from Stanford, he's actually the receivers coach for the Eagles right now. Had a conversation with him a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about just how much time has passed. We hadn't spoken in almost a few years. But he was saying that his perspective had changed, where now he's thinking about how many Thanksgiving holidays, how many Christmases does he have with his family left? Right? If somebody told you you've got 5 more Christmas holidays with your parents, 5 more, 5 more? Oh, shit. Gotta do something about that. Right? So, how many more opportunities do you have to make an impact on somebody's life? Today, you have the opportunity to do so. And so I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to do that. All of you have a role to play. Don't take that lightly. Please take that seriously. We all have a role to play. So, I'll end this with this closing. 3 things. Be honest and authentic and vulnerable, all those things, because other people can feed off of that, other people will relate to that, other people will be inspired by that. Be honest, be real, be genuine, be authentic, be all of those things. Be honest. Be curious. None of us have all the answers. None of us. Please stay curious, because you're going to help somebody else along your journey if you stay curious. You're going to strengthen or challenge your beliefs if you stay curious. And then please do me a favor. Listen, I'm asking for the organization for you to donate $500, right? But for me, I'm asking you, for me to do this, be forgiving. Be forgiving, give people grace, be patient, be understanding that some people are struggling and have challenges that you will never even face. You have no understanding of what those challenges are. My grandmother's from the Philippines, from Dulag Leyte, the barrios of Dulag Leyte in the Philippines. She migrated over here with my grandfather, who was in the military, who forced his grandmother's signature when he was 17 years old to go into the military because he did not want to end up in the coal mines where his father died. Right? So many struggles and perspectives that I don't even have. Decisions that he made that my mom and dad, have hard times with the decisions that my grandparents made, but then now come to a realization that they were just trying to make the best decision with the information they had at the time too. I'm realizing that. And so I'm asking you, when you go out in our community, when you realize that people on this planet are just human beings trying to survive and thrive, give them grace, give them patience, give them understanding. And then look in the mirror and give yourself grace, give yourself patience, give yourself understanding. And if we do that, I'm not saying that we'll change the world, but we can change somebody's world. And that's the mission I can stand on. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. Thank you for sharing some of your experience, and hopefully motivating a whole bunch of people in the room here. Before we go into actually telling you how to make a donation, though, there's one other piece of the puzzle that's really, really important. And we want you guys to hear once again about the work that the Multi-Service Center is doing. And if you've been around the luncheon for a while, you might actually remember back in 2014, Super Bowl year, we heard from Brian back when he was a teenager. He was actually receiving assistance from the Multi-Service Center at that time. And he was kind enough to put together a video to share a little bit so we can hear what Doug was just talking about, these generational impacts, right? These choices that were made by people to donate or to work or to volunteer with the Multi-Service Center, to get to see that echo almost 10 years later, right? And it keeps on echoing. So please join me in watching the video as Brian shares his story.
So in 2014, I decided to drop out of school. There were so much things going in my head. My family was having financial problems. When I talked to my principal, he suggested to go talk to MSC. I came here with the mindset of just getting my GED, not knowing everything they were going to help me with. Getting my clothing for my first interview, getting my resume done, helping me with internships, and just kind of helping me find out what I wanted to do with my life. MSC got me the opportunity to work with a real estate agent, and that was a very great experience. It made me even notice that I really wanted to do that. It made me believe that more. Multi-Service Center helped me find the path to what I really wanted to do in my life. I went into car sales. I sold new cars, used cars. I've been in that industry for 6 years now. It's been a great experience. I'm almost done though. I'm actually going back to real estate, going back to that path that I started here at Multi-Service Center. I'm giving back by volunteering in the food bank and in whatever I can. I want to get back to Multi-Service Center because they were great to me. I'm excited, ready for the big moment now. I feel like life's been preparing me these past years, giving me the knowledge, the wisdom. It feels good. My name is Brian, and I am pursuing my dream.
thank you all again for your generous donation. Whatever makes sense for you today, if you're able to give, appreciate it. And we know that every dollar donated today will have an impact right here in our community. Before you head out, we know it's just a lunchtime event, so people gotta get rolling pretty quick though. There's one more really important thing that needs to happen. Today we're gonna present our 5th annual Help Hope Change Award, where we get to honor an individual or a business that's made a significant positive impact here in our communities in South King County. So every year we ask for nominations from the public, and a multi-service center group of board members reviews those and makes a decision. And this year we would like to honor Bob Rabuski. A lot of you in this room know Bob from a number of different arenas. He is a former board member for the Multi-Service Center, 20 years serving on the board. He was also involved in starting both Advancing Leadership as well as Communities in Schools here in Federal Way. Also served on the board of directors for Fusion and on the Federal Way Human Services Commission, and Bob has been tirelessly working as an advocate for our neighbors and in our community. So we're going to welcome Bob up to say a few words and accept his award. Let's hear it for Bob.
Well, I thank you very much for the award. I would say just a couple of things. One is I know people that have gotten this award in the past. So I was on the board of the Multi-Service Center, so I'm honored and I'm almost humbled to be on that list of award winners. So I do appreciate that. The other thing I would say is I would like to thank the Multi-Service Center for giving me the opportunity to serve in whatever capacity that I did. They put up with me for almost 25 years. Through Dini Duco, Robin Korak. Unfortunately, I will not be with the new CEO, but I might drop in and check up on you. So it's just given me the opportunity to learn and to grow as an individual and watch the Multi-Service Center grow. And you know, as Doug said, you can impact one person's life. Well, the Multi-Service Center, in the years I served, has impacted thousands of people's lives and made those lives better for those folks. So congratulations to the Multi-Service Center. Thank you.
All right, again, thank you, friends, for being here, for being part of an amazing community that is opening doors and creating pathways to eliminate poverty in our community. Can't wait to see you all next year for the 11th annual. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, everybody.